Hello, my name is Simone Coleman. I am a Behaviour Specialist and trainee Educational Psychologist from Dublin. My background is primarily in behaviour analysis, psychology and autism. So while I am not a speech and language therapist, my work would frequently involve consulting with parents, teachers and educators on increasing appropriate communication skills in young children. And before we begin today, I just want to emphasise that if you are concerned about your child's speech and language development, you should make an appointment with your GP or public health nurse who will be able to refer you on to the appropriate professional in your area. And speech and language delays can happen for a number of reasons. They can just be due to perhaps lack of exposure to vocabulary at home, or perhaps they can be something more specific, such as a specific speech or language disorder. They could be related to an underlying learning disability, or perhaps related to a neurological condition such as autism. So while the strategies that I'm going to give in the next few videos are more general strategies for increasing communication, I would strongly recommend that you contact your GP or public health nurse for more specific advice related to your child. So in this first video, I'm just going to talk a little bit about developmental norms, or what are also known as milestones, and how they relate to language development. So we'll start by looking at a child's developing brain. So at birth, a baby's brain is really very underdeveloped, as I'm sure you can imagine. It's actually only developed about 25% of its full capacity. In fact, a human brain isn't fully developed or matured until roughly your early 20s. So that means there's a whole period of brain development throughout childhood and adolescence. But actually, research has found that the first 5 years, so from 0 to 5, is a really crucial period of brain development. That's because over 90% of a child's brain develops in these first 5 years. So with this in mind, this means we should really focus most of our attention and efforts on these first 5 years, so that it sets the foundations for positive future development. So what do we mean when we say a developmental milestone? So a milestone is really just a set of functional skills or tasks that most children can do at a particular age range. So really they are the building blocks that set the foundation for the next stage of development. So when we want to see if a child is meeting their milestones, we can look at their overall development and break it down into 5 key areas or domains. We then can compare each area to children of a similar age to see if this child is developing as expected for their age range. And looking at other children of a similar age, this is known as looking at the developmental norms. So a norm is simply just what is expected or typical at that particular age. So the 5 key areas that we can look at are their physical development. So are they meeting physical milestones in terms of their gross motor skills, how well they can kick or ride a bicycle? The second area is their language skills. So are they meeting language and communication milestones similar to children of the same age? The third area we can look at are their cognitive skills. So this is how well they can think and reason. Is this developing in line with children of a similar age? The fourth area we can look at are their social skills. So how well they socialize with others. Is this the same as children of that same age? And the fifth area is their emotional development. So how well they can emotionally regulate. Is this where it would be expected for their particular age? So here I just have the language milestones from birth to 5 years, because it can be helpful to know what is typical or expected for each particular age range. So starting from birth to 5 months, the baby should be cooing, vocalizing pleasure and displeasure, and should be making noise when talked to. Then from approximately 6 to 11 months, understanding no, babbling, saying mama and dada, and attempting to say first words. From 12 to 17 months, they should be answering simple questions non-verbally, saying 2 to 3 words to label a person or object, trying to imitate simple words, and have a vocabulary of approximately 4 to 6 words. Then from 18 to 23 months, the vocabulary should be increasing to about 50 words, but the pronunciation will be unclear. They should ask for common foods by name, make animal sounds such as moo, starting to combine words such as more milk, beginning to use pronouns such as mine, and use simple two-word phrases. So now from the ages of 2 to 3 approximately, they should know some spatial concepts such as in or on. They should know pronouns such as you, me or her. They should know descriptive words such as big or happy. They should be starting to use 3-word sentences. Their speech is becoming more accurate, but strangers may still not be able to understand much of what's being said. They should be able to answer simple questions. They should begin to use more pronouns such as you and I. They should use question inflections to ask for something such as my ball. And they should be beginning to use plurals such as shoes and socks. Then from approximately the age of 3 to 4, they should be able to group objects into categories such as foods or clothes. They should be able to identify their colours. They should use most speech sounds, but they may distort some more difficult sounds. They should use consonants in the beginning, middle and ends of words. Strangers are now able to understand much of what is said. They should be able to describe the use of certain objects, such as a fork or a car. And they should have fun with language and recognise and enjoy language absurdities, such as, is that an elephant on your head? They should be able to express ideas and feelings rather than just talking about the world around them. They should use verbs that end in ing, such as walking, talking. They should answer simple questions such as, what do you do when you are hungry? And they should be able to repeat back sentences. And finally, on to the ages of 4 to 5. So they now should understand some spatial concepts such as behind or next to. They should understand complex questions. Their speech should now be understandable, but they can make mistakes pronouncing long or difficult words. They should use some irregular past tense verbs such as ran or fell. They should be able to describe how to do things such as painting a picture. They should be able to list items that belong in a category such as animals or vehicles. And they should be able to answer why questions. And then from approximately 5 years, they should understand time sequence. So for example, what happened first, second, third. They should be able to carry out a series of 3-step directions. They should understand rhyming, engage in conversation. Sentences can be 8 or more words in length. They should use compound and complex sentences. They should be able to describe objects and finally use their imagination to create stories. Okay, I'm just going to finish with a really nice little video from Harvard University where it explains something called serve and return interactions with infants. And what this means is it's highlighting the importance of that two-way interactive communication between the parent and the young infant from birth, because this actually lays the foundations for all future development and builds the brain's architecture. And I'll be talking more about that interactive communication in my future videos. So thank you for listening.
The key to forming strong brain architecture is what's known as serve and return interaction with adults. In this developmental game, new neural connections form in the brain as young children instinctively serve through babbling, facial expressions, and gestures. And adults return the serve, responding in a very directed, meaningful way. It starts very early in life, when a baby coos and the adult interacts and directs the baby's attention to a face or hand. This interaction forms the foundation of brain architecture upon which all future development will be built. It helps create neural connections between all the different areas of the brain, building the emotional and cognitive skills children need in life. For example, here's how it works for literacy and language skills. When the baby sees an object, the adult says its name. This makes connections in the baby's brain between particular sounds and their corresponding objects. Later, adults show young children that those objects and sounds can also be represented by marks on a page. With continued support from adults, children then learn how to decipher writing and eventually to write themselves. Each stage builds on what came before. Ensuring that children have adult caregivers who consistently engage in serve-and-return interaction, beginning in infancy, builds a foundation in the brain for all the learning, behavior, and health that follow.